Hey guys, what's up? Eric here with Creative Sesh, and today I'm bringing you our first tutorial in Photoshop CS6, and we're going to be doing a little bit of masking with channels. Some of you might be saying, what the hell is that? And others might know what channels are, and that's perfectly fine. So today, basically, we'll be looking at a technique that I had in mind, maybe for a motion graphics video or something of the sort, where you needed to gather a bunch of source materials, which would be your clouds, and maybe you have a scene, a 3 or 2.5D scene in After Effects where you have all your layers separated in 3D space, and you wanted some clouds floating maybe in front of the mountains but behind the city, and kind of floating in front and behind each other and showing through some areas like here where you'd see all this blue and detail, or maybe even here. If that passed in front of a mountain, you'd want to see maybe a little bit of the peak behind it because that is slightly transparent. So what we're going to do, let's just take this image for example, but if you look at this image, this would be an extremely complex image to mask out. There's just so much detail in here. You would literally have a headache and need some severe counseling after masking, 10 of these pictures, because there's just so much detail in there. If you use conventional masking techniques, you would have to go in here and mask out all these little things, and frankly, I don't think you'd be able to do as good of a job as what I can show you with this technique, and especially not as quickly. So let's take this image here and just go ahead and let's jump right in. So I'm going to drop that image into make it its own new document. Let's double click the background, call this cloud. And basically what we're going to do now is, if you aren't familiar with channels, we'll just do a quick little overview. You have your RGB composite working in RGB color space. And basically you have a red, blue, and green channel, which here. So there's your blue, your green, and then your red. And then all of them combined in the composite. So what you want to do is you want to go in here and maybe just take a look at what channels show the strongest dominance for what you're trying to do. If you go in here and just isolate the red channel, you can see that the red has like if we wanted to make a mask using these channels, you get a lot of black or gray in here. So that's probably the channel we're going to want to use to multiply against each other, but let me explain further. So go ahead and just let's enable all these real quick and go back. Click on your cloud image, make sure it's selected. And then you're going to go Image, Calculations. And basically what you're going to do here is you're taking two color channels and then you're using a blending mode to combine them essentially. So with multiply, what we're going to do is we're just going to do multiply the red channel versus the red channel to create our mask. But you wouldn't want to do like the blue channel versus the blue channel in this instance for a mask, because you use black and white color values, and anything in between, which would be gray, is semi-transparent depending on its shade. So, this would make an awful mask. You'd see all these things, all this blue showing through, and then the cloud showing through too, and it would look awful. So let's go back to the red channels here, and just multiply those together. The result is a new channel. Let's click OK. So you can see if we were to use this channel, and that just created us, using the calculations up in the image menu, it created us a new alpha channel. So what we're going to want to do is take this alpha channel that it created and apply it to our image as a mask. So it takes out all those, and it saves all that data from that channel and puts it over into a mask. So here we go. What we're going to do first, though, is go Image, Adjustments, Levels with our alpha channel selected that we're going to be color correcting a little bit here. We're just going to crush the black values until I can't see any noise in the black area in here. But you want to keep the definition of the image original to what it was in the original scene, in the original photo, I mean. So that looks about right to me. I'm going to click OK here. And then what I'm going to do is come down here and I'm going to hover over this button, and it's called Mode Channel Selection. I'm going to click that. And it's going to look like you know, a first grader did a real half-assed job of masking out this cloud. but they didn't. There's a lot more color values and data that you can see here that's actually in this selection than what these marching ants are marching around. Or the selection, whatever you want to call that, this madness. But basically what we're going to do is, so after you hit that, then you're going to go back to your layer, and then you're going to click on the layer you want. Then you're going to hover over this button right here. And that's going to add a layer mask to that layer using that selection that we just loaded from that alpha channel 1 into a new mask for this cloud picture. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-N, create a new layer here. Let's call that BG. Just drag it down to the bottom, zoom out a little bit here. And what we're going to do is create just a gradient right here real quick. But you can see that this mask is very accurate. In fact, you can't even really see the edge. I mean, you can just barely maybe. I mean, I don't even think you can. So, you know, it's done a really good job extracting this cloud and in a very short amount of time. You could do probably 10 of these clouds in 20 minutes this way. Whereas if you had to mask that many clouds with conventional techniques, it's been nice knowing you. So we probably won't see you for a couple years. But anyway, back to the tutorial here. But so you can see it's done a really good job. And you know, if you had like a city here, let's do a quick example. This awesome city right here. It's pretty cool. So here's your motion graphics video, and the cloud's floating in front of the city. So you can see it's done a really good job of extracting that, and it looks like the cloud that it was without any detail missing. So once again, I think that's a really good technique for extracting things like this, things like the clouds. But you have to keep in mind that there has to be a pretty strong definition. This is almost like a blue screen or a green screen in essence, but that's why this is so effective, masking these things out, and you can still keep all these little intricate details of the cloud without, you know, doing it yourself, and you can just multiply certain channels against each other using blending modes to create your mask. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. Once again, this is Eric with Creative Sesh, over and out.